Dejas to kick it off for Houston in blue. And it's Darryl Clack and Cornell Burbage for the Cowboys at the other end. And Zayden Dejas, after a couple of practice swings, is now ready to go. The Oilers 8-4, the Cowboys 2-10. And if Houston can win this game and the next three, they will then host the second round of the playoffs and avoid the wild card. Underway with a long kick, and the Cowboys will take the touchback. Burbage, and it's first down out of the 20-yard line. For the Cowboys, Steve Pelluer in the back and forth, the revolving door quarterback situation here, with Herschel Walker has more combined yards than anyone in the NFL. Todd Fowler for the injured Timmy Newsome at fullback. Ray Alexander's had a fine year. Michael Irvin, their top draft pick out of Miami of Florida. Thornton Chandler, the tight end. The offensive line, Wydell, a rookie. Newton, Rafferty, one of the old-timers that go back to the Super Bowl years of the 70s. Crawford Kerr, perhaps their best lineman. And Kevin Gogan, a 300-pounder from Washington. And Herschel Walker drives for 4 yards, slashing off left tackle. Walker, who is second to Eric Dickerson in the NFL in rushing with 1,150 yards coming in. William Fuller, 95, made the tackle. He's one of the front three. Ray Childress is having a all-pro year at the left end position. Richard Byrd moving inside this season. The linebackers, Robert Lyles, John Grimsley, Al Smith leads in tackles, and Johnny Meads, they'll come after you. Steve Brown and Patrick Allen, they can play man on the corners. Keith Bostic and a very tough safety, Jeff Donaldson. 2nd and 6. Walker, a little misdirection, and he's got a blocker. Out of bounds at the 38-yard line. A first down for Walker behind the block of 61, Nate the Kitchen Newton.
The Cowboys have worked hard to bring that size of that offensive line up to speed. Nate Newton, one of the largest guards in the NFL, well over 300 pounds, but he can still move that big frame. Just buries Bostic on the outside, and Bostic, a very physical safety. Walker doing what they wanted him to do, which is to control the football. But again, you've got to keep from making mistakes to keep that drive alive.
Nate's brother Tim, who plays for the Vikings, already moving toward the Thanksgiving table after the win against the Lions. And it's Walker carrying on the first 3 plays of this game, and he's out to the 44-yard line. Another half dozen for Walker, the Heisman winner at the University of Georgia a few seasons ago.
Field level, Herschel Walker is not a great pick-a-hole runner. He's better when he knows where the hole is going to be. And of course, this line, styled after the Hogs in Washington. Walker limping, by the way. Notice a little limp there. Their strength right now, just driving people off the line, getting a piece of them and taking them back.
Play action to Walker, then the throw to Clack. Did he catch it in bounds? No, he was juggling.
They juggled the football.
Incomplete. Johnny Meads, 91, on the coverage for Houston.
He's got to have possession of the football with both feet in bounds. A clear chance to catch this ball, which is well thrown by Pelluer. But watch where the feet are when he finally gets control of the football. Got 1 foot in, but the second foot did not come down after he took control of that ball.
Officials may be looking at it, the instant replay. We'll see. It's 3rd down and 4 at the moment as the Cowboys break huddle. Ray Alexander, far left. He has 43 catches. And to the near side, Michael Irvin, the brilliant rookie.
8, 9 defenders up for Houston. They'll run some real pressure defenses.
30-second clock to 17 seconds, please. 17 seconds.
Resetting the 30-second clock down to 17.
Talking to Jerry Glanville, I was talking to him about dogs and blitzes. He said, we don't consider it a blitz unless we bring 7 or 8 or 9 guys. I said,
well, he even brings extras at the will call. He's looking for miracles.
They bring them all.
Let's see. He had 2 tickets left today for Buddy Holly.
I wonder if, well, there's some empty seats, so maybe Holly's in one of those.
3rd and 4. Pallure, first down yardage to Walker, who not only leads in rushing, but he's the leading pass catcher. Comes in with 44 receptions on the year. 6 more yards. Keith Bostic made the hit.
Little flare pattern. Bostic comes up to get a piece of Walker there. But Herschel, with good hands, has not been as important a receiver late in the year as he was early in the year. Still leads the team, as you mentioned, Dick, in receiving.
Walker again. It's been all Walker on this drive. No one else has handled the ball or caught it. He's inside the 45-yard line. A gain of 5 more. Ray Childress and Keith Bostic made the tackle. Well, Jerry Glanville, a very clever head man, this 47-year-old head coach. Through the course of the year, he's left tickets for special people. Elvis Presley, James Dean. He couldn't get tickets to Phantom of the Opera in New York, so he left tickets for the Phantom. Wickenhauser, the zoo manager of the Pittsburgh Zoo. Lonnie Anderson in Cincinnati. D.B. Cooper, the air pirate. And now Buddy Holly. I thought maybe Pocahontas might get a call today.
Strange formation. 2 tight ends together flip-flopping, but it doesn't fool
William Fuller. 95 ran right into Walker and drops him for a loss. Fuller, part of the big trade when Jim Everett, the quarterback who did not want to play for the Oilers, or at least wouldn't sign with them, traded him to the Rams, and they picked off several players, Fuller being one. 95.
Fuller was kind of a throw-in in that trade. He has turned out to be a real asset.
Of course, Kent Hill, the offensive lineman, was a key player. He has since been released. 3rd down and 6, a passing situation. For the first time, a true pass situation, and Pallure in the shotgun. Over the middle, wide open is Alexander. And he's inside the 30 to the 23. Ray Alexander. His first catch today is 44th of the year. 22 yards.
Ray Alexander, the most consistent of these Cowboy receivers. Steve Brown physically handling him at the line, but then Alexander just stops short to snare that football. And watch him drag some bodies with him as he gets away from 3 tacklers. Finally dragged down after about a 10-yard gain. Lots of blue shirts there to pick him up, but they've got a good drive going here, Dick.
Darryl Clack and Herschel Walker now in the eye, and it's Walker. And he runs into a sea of blue. Leading the charge, 59, John Grimsley, who played his football at Kentucky. Steve Brown, former Oregon star, there as well.
Call him X-Ray. John X-Ray Grimsley. I said, how'd you get that name? He said, well, kind of embarrassing. Said, I hurt my arm in one game. They had to drag me in and take X-rays to see if it was broken. He said, I was fighting to get back out on the field. But amazing how you pick up those kinds of nicknames from insignificant acts at times.
Was it Willie Gold? They called X-Ray once because he was so fast that that's just about what you saw. 2nd down, 11. Pallure to the 2-yard line, and a flag is down as Michael Irvin, the rookie, makes the catch in the seam of the zone. Patrick Allen with a tackle. That's 22 yards if it counts. And it does. Holding against the Oilers. Well, this is a charming young guy, this Michael Irvin, and quite a talented receiver.
Confident, bit of a hot dog on the field, but knows what he's doing, and he's working against a fine cornerback. And so far, the emotional level of this Houston defense not up to the kind of performance that we have seen from them earlier in the year. I think perhaps they were looking at Dallas film and watching what's happened to the Cowboys the last few weeks, remembering that 54-10 pasting that they gave them earlier in the year, and maybe are not quite ready to get it in gear.
And Walker on 1st and goal does not get in. He's inside the 1. Kenny Johnson, an extra back, and others there to stack up the play. Walker, surprisingly, has only 2 rushing touchdowns all year.
Warren Moon has 3. That'll give you a little feeling for what it's done, even with all his yards. And Walker trying to run in behind Waddell and Newton. Both 300-pounders on the left side of that line, and Houston's defense threw him back.
Todd Fowler, and that didn't fool the Oilers as they sent Walker to the right and tried to counter back inside with a fullback Fowler, and he is stopped short.
Danny White in the red sweater will do the signaling for Tom Landry, as will Kevin Sweeney, both signaling. One will be a live signal, one a dead signal. But right now, the Cowboys, I said they had to start fast in this ball game. Worst thing that could happen is to be denied this touchdown after getting it down there with a 1st and 2 to go on the 2-yard line.
Remember, they've scored only 6 points in the first half in the last 3 games total. Walker, touchdown. High-flying Herschel Walker, and the Cowboys have scored on their first possession.
When a team is hungry to win, you don't want to give them this kind of cause to celebrate. They've taken the ball the first time out. They took it right down the field, down the throat of this Houston defense, and they put it in the end zone. This is exactly the way Tom Landry wanted to see this game begin.
Roger Ruzick out of Fleur's hold for the extra point. Whoops. Ray Childress coming up the middle. And of course, the Oilers, the best NFL team in blocking kicks. They have no less than 5 blocked punts to tie an NFL record. And they've got a couple of points after blocked as well.
Motion, they say, against the Cowboys. Somebody moving a little early. But Dick, the one thing I'm sure of, this game is not going to end 7-0.
Illegal snap, center 64, 5-yard penalty.
Center twitching with that ball. They do that occasionally.
Illegal no snap.
Well, a smart center on this kind of situation often will just tip that ball up a little bit, try and draw you off sides.
So a bit longer on the extra point try by Ruzick, who kicked that Weber State. Cowboys have scored more points in their first possession today than in 6 quarters of the first half the last 3 games. And it's Herschel Walker who gets the call. Randy White out of Maryland, our #1 pick of the Cowboys back in '75. Happy to be around in his 14th year, although he certainly has played a limited role, injuries being part of that. We'll talk more about him. Your feelings, Merlin, that had he come into the league at this time, he would not have been known as a defensive line star. Deep to return, Leonard Harris for the Oilers as Ruzick approaches. Short, spinner, Harris, 11. Oh, he hammered by Mark Whalen, defensive tackle from UCLA at the 25-yard line. For the Houston Oilers, Warren Moon, having a solid year, has only 4 interceptions. Mike Rozier, Alonzo Highsmith. Boy, they have a talented stable of running backs in Houston. Drew Hill and Ernest Gibbons, those 2 5'9" wide receivers. Tough to pick which one you like most. Jamie Williams, the tight end. The blockers, many of them #1 picks. Davis, Munchak, Tennyson, Matthews, Steinkuhler. From the 25. Mike Rozier. Like Walker, a Heisman winner, he's out to the 28-yard line, a gain of 3.
Houston Oilers love to get you in a situation where they can use those 2 wides against your defense.
Defensively, Ed Too Tall Jones at 37 is playing great football. Kevin Brooks, Danny Noonan, and Jim Jeffcoat, the 4-man front for the Cowboys. Ron Burton, Eugene Lockhart, and Gary Cobb, the ex-Lion. Everson Walls, the second all-time in interceptions, Cowboy history. Robert Williams, a fine surprise at the corners. Bill Bates leads in tackles, and Michael Downs, another veteran at safety. Out of the shotgun, Moon going long, and too long for Curtis Duncan from Northwestern. Well covered by Bates and Walls. It'll be 3rd and 7.
In Hill and Gibbons, Moon has the finest tandem of wide receivers going right at this moment in the NFL. Clayton and Duper down in Miami, I think, had that honor last year, and I think in Gibbons and Hill, the two best this year. And he loves to get him in the slot and work nose up against the defense. But what a challenge with 4 speedy wide receivers, and you know you've got to cover those 2 guys inside. Then what do you do?
4 wide receivers. They call this their red formation. With Hill in motion. On top again. Almost caught by Gibbons. What a try by Gibbons from the University of Louisville. Victor Scott just activated yesterday. Broke up the pass.
Moon with a very strong arm. Not afraid to go to a man who's double covered.
Illegal use of the hands. 63 offense. A jam to the face. Penalty refused. 4th down.
Mike Munchak, the left guard from Penn State. Pass incomplete, and the Cowboys will take the ball. Greg Montgomery from Michigan State, the rookie. An early pick. And Kelvin Martin, Kmart they call him, there at the 30-yard line for Dallas. End over end and short. Martin will let it bounce, so it was just short enough to be a long kick as it rolls all the way down to the 10-yard line or thereabouts.
Chris Dishman did a great job of covering that kick to make it possible to down it on the 10.
Timeout with the Cowboys in front early. Gallen, 29, the defensive back. They can go a little one-on-one tomorrow. Their Thanksgiving holiday, they call him Doc, his favorite athlete, Dr. J, retired Philadelphia star.
Important drive here for the Cowboys to sustain their first drive. Most impressive. You don't want to make a mistake down here in your own territory.
By the way, Montgomery's kick of 61 yards, his longest of this his rookie year. Here comes Herschel. Boy, even when he's protecting the ball and seemingly slowing down, dragging players with him, and he has a 14-yard gain. What a start for Walker.
Running in behind Waddell, a big left tackle, and Herschel set it up by just diving inside and then driving back outside. Good blocking in there as Al Smith, number 54, can't get off from his linebacking position. That's Nate Newton, 61, locked up on him. With big guards on the linebackers, not a good match for this Houston defense.
That's Irvin in motion. And Darryl Clack gets the call for a couple of yards. Clack, former Arizona State star, picked in the 2nd round a couple of years ago. He's a 213-pounder. Ernie Stautner, the defensive wizard of the Cowboys, with some of his pupils, young and old.
One of the things about this Dallas team that has often been criticized is the kind of defensive plan that they run. The old flex defense still very much a part of their plan, and it is indeed a run-oriented defense that I believe is a little bit behind the times.
2nd down and 8. Pelor on the roll. He likes to run and has to run. Out of bounds at the 32-yard line, 3 yards shy of a first down. Pelor played at the University of Washington.
Let's turn this play loose and watch the pocket develop. We'll get it to stop as we get underway. Go ahead and get things started here. Allow this play to start. Stop it right there. Notice how fine a pocket they've developed here, but this is already a situation where Pelor is going to roll out. And he sees some opening on the outside. It's a shame they didn't have a pass call because that was great protection. But they do plan the rollout for him quite frequently.
Underneath. And a first down catch by Kelvin Martin, his 42nd of the year. Martin from Boston College. He is rapidly developing as an outstanding receiver.
Say he's the kind of receiver a quarterback just absolutely loves because always wants the football, but he doesn't yap at you all the time in the huddle. You just know that he'd like to catch you.
Danny White told me yesterday, the veteran quarterback who's on the injured list, that he thinks that this group of receivers is the best he's ever seen with the Cowboys.
I'll tell you, they've got some outstanding talent, and they're a little bit different than most of the receivers you see around the league. Some of the tallest receivers operating in the NFL. Certainly, I think the tallest as a group.
Leading 7-0 here in the first quarter. The Cowboys with another first down. And short yardage this time as Ray Childress stacks up Herschel Walker right at the 40-yard line. There's Childress. He's had a big year. 7.5 sacks. He's recovered 7 fumbles.
Point of attack as you get a chance to watch a little cutoff block on the backside. They're trying to get Ray Childress down, and you've got to take him down, because if you don't get him on the ground, he's going to be a part of the tackle. And even though they got his feet out from underneath him, he's still got a part of the action. He has had one outstanding year.
Fake to Walker. Wide open is Alexander. And the tall, slender receiver, as he did the first time, gets another 4 or 5 yards after the catch. He was a free agent picked by Denver 4 years ago, then went up to Calgary in the Canadian Football League and returned to Dallas last year. Didn't play because of a broken wrist.
This Houston defense, an awful lot of man-to-man coverage, and you see it here. But what they've been able to do in the past is to force the mistakes, to force the turnovers, just with some really vicious hitting back there, some hard hitting and good tough football. I think you may see some blitzing going on here pretty quick. They're not getting the kind of heat on Pelluer that they need to have from their regular pass rush.
3 minutes left in the first quarter, and offside. Number 96, Sean Jones, the ex-Los Angeles Raider, acquired by trade this year. We'll see whether or not he was drawn off.
Encroachment, 96 defense.
No, it's against Jones. And so the Cowboys, leading 7-0, and taking this drive from their own 10, have marched now back into Houston territory at the 40.
Jones a little bit embarrassed, I think. No one moving. His eagerness got him into the secondary. That's a lonesome feeling back there. Whoops.
I think the officials came into this game with an extra supply of hankies. These are the 2 most penalized teams in the NFL. They've been penalized over a mile this year between them. Walker, whoa. Boy, the gate shut on him as Robert Lyles from TCU, the defensive end and outside linebacker, plays both up and down, smothers him.
Lyles, number 93, looked like they had him blocked, but he said, no way, I'm coming after you. And Walker, who looked to be trying to pick a hole there, couldn't find anything going. That's more indicative of the kind of defense that these Houston Oilers have been playing during this season. In fact, I said it in the opening. I'll say it again. They've made more big plays as a front seven, I believe, than any front seven in the NFL.
Pelluer faking to Walker, throwing for Fowler, incomplete. Jeff Donaldson on the coverage along with Johnny Meads. It'll be 3rd and 9.
Steve Pelluer has gotten off to a good start in this game, even though he threw a very bad pass there, and obviously unhappy with the pattern that was run. But a great many of the breakdowns have come from that quarterbacking position during this season. Pelluer has been under great heat, but he's made a lot of mistakes, and a lot of those mistakes have come in a scrambling situation.
Last week against the Bengals, Pelluer, who has shared duties recently with Kevin Sweeney, had a decent game. But the Cowboys the last 3 weeks falling so far behind in the first half. Here there was no doubt they got some cosmetic scores in the second half. Leading 7-0 late in the first quarter. Pelluer broken up by Keith Bostic, number 25, trying to hit Ray Alexander. And the punting team, Mike Saxon, comes on for the first time.
First drive all the way into the end zone, but this one obviously will not make it. They're able to get Bostic into great position, and boy, he almost was able to bring that football down.
Former University of Michigan star as they double Alexander. Kenny Johnson back at the 10-yard line. Saxon averaging over 41 a punt, but he's just trying to drop this one inside the 10 if he can. Very high, but too deep. out it will come to the 20-yard line. The Oilers have the ball for the second time in this first quarter. They trail Dallas 7-0. A minute and a half remaining in the opening quarter. Cowboys have had a couple of possessions and controlled the ball. 22 plays and 1 touchdown. The Oilers 3 plays and a punt. This is their second possession. They start at the 20. Warren Moon at the controls. He's got 12 touchdown passes, only 4 interceptions this year. And there's his first of today, and a first down to Ernest Givens out to the 37-yard line. Everson Walls made the tackle. There's Givens. He's only 5'9", 172 pounds. As a rookie, caught 61. Last year he had 53. Came in today with 42. Hill to the left, Givens to the right. And it's Rozier, hit immediately by 99 Kevin Brooks. Brooks from Michigan in his 4th year with the Cowboys makes the tackle after a yard gain.
Cowboys need to get some big plays from that defense now. They've had some good plays offensively. Good start on the day. Cowboys, one of the few teams in the NFL still playing out of the base 4-3 defense. There's a listing of them, and you notice they're all NFC teams. And some pretty fine football teams on that list. Cowboys still employing, though, the flex defense, which causes them to pull people off of the line and plays some of their defensive linemen in a 4-point stance. They're not in a flex at this moment, however, as everyone is up on the ball.
2nd and 9 for Moon. Has to unload. Too tall Jones applying the pressure. And he avoided the sack. Jones has 7.5 sacks. He's got to be the best 37-year-old defensive player in the league.
An absolute marvel. And I've got to tell you that he is still playing emotional football. Looking at him there as he comes around Dean Steinkohler and just puts the hammer on Warren Moon.
Too tall and too quick. End of the first quarter at Texas Stadium. He hasn't improved a bit.
Well, and those turkeys are definitely not around, but this is no turkey here as Dallas getting off to a surprisingly good start against the Houston Oilers.
8 years ago, how time do fly. Warren Moon trying to fly, and it does get away from too tall and completes to Alonzo Highsmith. And Highsmith is all the way to the 36-yard line. What a play by Moon. There's the athletic talent of the 32-year-old Houston quarterback who appeared to be destined to be sacked for a big loss.
When we first saw Warren, we saw him in the Canadian League of the NFL, and it was his great mobility that I think attracted NFL scouts. That and his strong throwing arm. Boy, he's got great presence as a quarterback, and that's what they call a scramble drill. Short receivers go deep and stay moving. Long receivers come back off the field. Got a hurry-up offense out there.
26-yard play. Cowboys barely got their defensive team on the field. First down. Houston in Cowboy territory for the first time today. And it's Rozier slamming down to the 30-yard line in a gain of 6. He leads the Oilers in rushing this year right at the 700-yard mark.
They're trapping on Ed Too Tall Jones, big number 72. You see the trap right there by 63 Munchak. It's a good one. And Rozier, who has great eyes and great pick-a-hole ability, very, very quick to take advantage of that play.
120 yards to 21 in the first quarter, but it's the Oilers only 30 yards away from a tying touchdown. Second down, 3.5. Rozier on a draw, breaking a tackle. First down inside the 25. Gary Cobb, who played at the University of Southern California. And do they have a date this coming weekend with Notre Dame for number 1? As we told you earlier, the Cowboys all season long, particularly in the last 3 games, have had their troubles in the first half.
Gotta wonder if Gary Cobb isn't the only player to have ever played for both Detroit and Dallas in a Thanksgiving Day game. Somebody's going to call in and say wrong, but he's the only one I can remember doing it.
Golden Turkey Award. Wide open is Drew Hill, and on first down, Moon has another 11 yards. Stealing the ball was Manny Hendricks, but after the whistle.
This red gun offense, tough on a defense. Ernest Givens very simply before the game said, you double me, you double Hill, you can't double everybody. And here's the singled up man right here, man to man, and Moon just finds him and gets him the football. And I'll tell you, that's tough. That is tough to cover that kind of speed. That's tough on Moon too, as Moon is buried, but he'll take it. He's a tough quarterback.
2 minutes 15 seconds into the second quarter. Dallas leads 7-0. First down, Houston at the 14. Snap directly to Rozier, who's down to the 11-yard line. That's a play that the Oilers use frequently out of the shotgun. Direct snap to the fullback or running back, this time Rozier.
Of course, the Moon would ordinarily take the ball, but watch the ball being snapped right here directly to Rozier. And of course, what they're hoping as Moon continues to drop back is that the line will rush. Randy White, I think, hooked up in that, but the linebackers responded pretty well to shut it down to a short gain. But both of these teams love that little bag of tricks. They like to have those gimmicks and gadgets going for them.
2nd and 7. Looking for Givens. Oh, it's over Givens' head, and underneath was Curtis Duncan, number 80, as they crossed right at the goal line. Billy Bates in the thick of it.
In and out of the hands of Duncan, and I really believe it was Duncan's pass all the way. But you'll see that they're working him right across the middle. Yeah, Givens has gone inside to try and attract the double coverage. That's a ball that well could have been caught.
Moon seemed to think so. 3rd and 7. 7-0. The Cowboys lead early in the second quarter. Into the end zone. Incomplete to Duncan, who had to toe dance along that back line and try to make the play.
Cowboys coming with a blitz as Ron Burton was there to put pressure on Moon. Watch from the left-hand side, number 57 coming in. Well, we'll see it at the other end actually first. Along the end line now. That ball is going to be thrown to the back of the end zone. Receivers there, but touched. Oh, so close, and would have been a touchdown. That's 2 that he has had in the hands of receivers in the end zone.
Tony Zendejas, his field goal is good from 28 yards. And it's a 7-3 game as Zendejas clicks, although the Oilers wanted more. Timeout, 11:34 left in the half. You could title that shot Moon and June, the quarterback with the man who calls the plays from the sidelines.
June Jones, a quarterback in his own right in Atlanta. In fact, he was teasing us. He was a quarterback 10 years ago. We did a game in Atlanta. He was supposed to start. They preempted the beginning of the game for the Pokes, and by the time they got there, June was gone, and all his friends at home said, you really didn't start that game. You weren't even there.
We did that game.
We did that game. We were there.
The kick comes down to Cornell Burbage. And the Cowboys' return man is out to the 27, where Domingo Bryan, number 38, is first to make the hit. Spencer Tillman, number 33, is the designated wedge breaker today.
This is an honor. Watch what he does as he gets in there. He just goes right over the top. That's what's called sacrificing the body into the wedge. Cowboys able to bring that ball out to the 27. Not a bad return.
Who's the best you can remember ever doing that? Not exactly an assignment anyone would want. That.
Well, I can tell you this. It usually didn't last more than about a year because that is a thankless job, breaking the wedge. I can't tell you a funny story about breaking the wedge. In my 13th year, Landry assigned Deacon Jones and I to break the wedge in the Pro Bowl game.
No, thank you, Coach.
Yeah.
Herschel Walker ahead for a couple of yards. That gives him 50 yards rushing in the first half. The obvious workhorse and a man admired by all who have watched him and all who have played with him.
One of the things that Tom Landry has sought to develop here is a much bigger offensive line. Look at the right side there. 2 pounds shy of 300 pounds, just shy of 6'4.5". And with Tom Rafferty in there at 6'3", 263, you get a feeling for how big the rest of that offensive line is.
Ballore play action, and he's got lots of room. Goes to his tight end, Steve Folsom. Only the 5th catch of the year for Folsom, who played at Utah and was the former conditioning coach of the U.S. ski team in the 1984 Olympic year. He says, I can't even ski. I think I've gone up on the mountain once.
He's quite a magician, isn't he, too, Dick?
Yeah.
Prestidigitation.
Prestidigitator, indeed.
Didn't need to be too magic on that play. That was when your running game is going, the play action game becomes very effective. And that play action pass gave Ballore plenty of time. So far today, he really has not been chased that badly by Houston's defense.
Jerry Glanville and the All Black, the Johnny Cash look that started last year. Quite in contrast to the Dean of NFL coaches, 64-year-old Landry. Has his ace in the hole, and that's Herschel Walker, who plows for 9 more.
Right at the end of that run, Jeff Donaldson, who is a very physical safety, got a clunk helmet to helmet with Herschel, and I could feel it all the way up here. You could hear that helmet, cracked helmet, and he said, ouch.
Donaldson from Colorado in his 5th year, a Denver Bronco fan growing up. Steve Foley was his hero.
There's the end of that play, and the man just bouncing out the other end of that collision, Jeff Donaldson.
It's Walker again. No, great fake, and Ballore goes open. Irvin! Michael Irvin was open at the 15-yard line, and they just missed connections. Patrick Allen finally got there. What a good fake.
Within the framework of a game, there are only about 4 or 5 plays that can possibly turn the nature of the game. This was one of those plays, and it was a missed opportunity for the Cowboys. This play has score or at least 10-yard line written all over it, but Michael Irvin, who has shown a great deal of promise, blew the opportunity.
3rd down, 1.5 yards. Walker is hit in the backfield. Slashing through is Robert Lyles.
Now that's the kind of big play that this Houston defense has been making all year. Lyles, left side of your screen. Linebacker just flying across. This is a penetrating defense. They get quickly across. Look how quickly they're across the line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at all the blue shirts there. Absolutely amazing. This is a defense that never stops running.
Jerry Glanville likes to use that expression, we come at you 100 miles an hour. Saxon to punt. Kenny Johnson solo, return man back at the 15. Beautiful kick. Johnson's going to let it go. And the Cowboys down it inside the 9-yard line. Great kick by Saxon, who punted for San Diego State. And a timeout with 9 minutes remaining in the first half. Dallas 7, Houston 3. The beautiful Texas Stadium, which the crowd now has grown up into the high 40s, maybe 50,000 for this Thanksgiving Day game.
Cowboys have been famous for their ability to force the turnover. They've averaged just under 44 over the last 5 seasons. They only have 13 this year. It has really hurt their defensive performance.
Well, that's almost unbelievable that in 12 games, any NFL team can only take the ball away 13 times. That's by far the worst of the 28 NFL clubs.
Dick, I think one of the things that happens, this season has gone badly for them, and I think those young players are sitting in those meetings listening to people getting chewed out, and they're afraid to get aggressive. It's aggressiveness that causes fumbles, and aggressiveness also will occasionally cause mistakes, and I think they're afraid to make the mistakes. They're playing conservatively, and they're not getting the turnovers.
Rozier picks up about 3 on first down. Now Moon incomplete to Drew Hill. Manny Hendricks, who was not a football player at Utah, played basketball. In fact, was an all-Western Athletic Conference guard, averaged almost 16 a game as a college senior, but one of those picks that the Cowboys have been famous for through the years, finding a non-football player but a good athlete. Warren Moon is 3 for 9 so far in this first half. And the 37-year-old eyes of Too Tall will be focused on Moon. Oh, the ball knocked free, and again it was Hendricks knocking it along with Victor Scott away from Drew Hill.
Warren Moon victimized already with 2 dropped touchdown passes. This is a first down pass from the other side of the field. Moon has his man. He has the football in his hands. No excuse for that. Drew Hill, who's a fine receiver and having an outstanding year, simply dropped that ball.
Kelvin Martin back as Montgomery will take the snap in his own end zone. Wobbly kick. Martin drifting at his 43. Fumbles and then wisely ducks out of bounds at the Cowboy bench, shy of the 50-yard line. And with it, a timeout on this Thanksgiving Thursday.
Happy Thanksgiving to a lady that kept 17 kids together. Thank you, Mom.
That's a nice touch. Michael Irvin expressing all of our emotions on this day. Thank you, Mom. 17 in the family there in Florida. Mother Pearl.
Well, I heard you talking to your mom and wishing her a happy Thanksgiving. It's a day for that, isn't it?
You bet. They're watching up there in Pinconning, Michigan today. Your mom's where, in Utah?
Logan, Utah today, yeah.
Oh, there it is. Herschel Walker, lucky to be in Irving, Texas after that hit. Ray Childress slamming in there, the 270-pound defensive end.
Watch number 79 following in behind. They're trying to get that. Gogan is trying to cut him down, but Childress, who's one of the hardest working men in the NFL, listen to this play. Just listen to it.
Ooh, thud. That's a big league thud. Second down and long for the Cowboys, who lead 7-3. Dump off to Walker. And he's out of bounds shy of the 50. It'll be 3rd and 8.
This Houston team, a very emotionally based team. In fact, talking to some of the Cowboy players who've watched films of them play, they said, wonder how they practice. I mean, they come on the field, they don't stop running. But I think a short week hurts an emotional team because they're into a preparation cycle. And they, of course, can't do that. You've only got a couple of days to get ready. They have not done a lot of work during this week to get ready. And I think they, in spite of the fact that they're playing well in this game, they're not playing as emotionally as we've seen them play most of their other games during the season.
3rd down 8 for Ballore. Uh-oh, that's in a bad place and almost intercepted by Bostic. Intended for Urban and into a crowd of 4 Houston defenders.
I think if I were a quarterback coach, I would tell Steve Ballore, when you break out of there and start scrambling, I don't want you to throw the football. A great many of his interceptions and mistakes have come on the scramble. Here he is, running out. He's got some room to run, but he wants to throw the football. Count the number of them. 3, 4 blue shirts who have as good a chance to catch that ball as his one receiver. Not a good play.
Especially when you throw back across the middle after rolling out.
Kenny, lay it on the ground, Kenny!
Oilers like to block punts. They have a record-tying 5 this year. Ooh, close as Saxon nails another fine kick, but this one bounces through the end zone for the touchback. Or Saxon had to be taking a good look at that defensive line.
See it and don't see it, like a quarterback looking at the pass rush. Woof, just barely out of there.
Well, you could feel the enemy on that punt. Timeout, 7:05 left in the second quarter. In the earlier Thanksgiving Day game, of course, this tradition began with the Lions. They were blanked by Minnesota. The Vikings winning impressively 23-0 in a game that seemed rather flat emotionally to me. Merlin, is that part of the Thanksgiving, the short week?
I think it hurts you, Dick. I played in those games. In fact, I played against Detroit when Glanville was the defensive coach there. And he talked about the emotional level of that game. He said, you came into that game, you guys were half asleep. He said, unfortunately, you beat us because we just didn't have the horses that you had. But you can't. You have a difficult time because you're so into a cycle for the week, and it's a 7-day cycle.
Okay, what is this cycle?
What is 4-day week? There's a cycle, if you will, to look at the size, as we mentioned, of this 6'6" defensive line, but those numbers on the Houston side impressive too. We'll get back to that in just a moment.
Down the middle, complete the hill, and a first down at the Houston 48-yard line. Michael Downs on the coverage.
Well, if you've got one speed receiver, the defense doesn't have any trouble covering him. 2, you start to have problems. 4, you've got a long afternoon. Everson Walls, number 24, who's one of the best of the man-to-man coverage guys here, but he's better laying off, and Warren Moon knows he's got a big play downfield. I don't think there are many quarterbacks in the league that can get those big chunks of yardage better than Warren Moon can.
Through the hands of Ernest Gibbons as he was hit by Everson Walls. It'll be 2nd and 10 for the Oilers.
Walls a unique cornerback. Most cornerbacks talk to play inside out. Walls likes to play the outside of those receivers where he can keep an eye on the quarterback. An interesting style of his own that has allowed him to not only to anticipate but to feel the release of that football and go for better position on that receiver.
Well, it's worked. He has 43 career interceptions, the only man in NFL history to lead the NFL 3 different seasons in intercepts. On 2nd and 10, Highsmith in big trouble, and down he goes at the 37-yard line. Alonzo Highsmith fumbling the toss from Moon, and Mark Whalen, 95, was there immediately for Dallas.
Just a little toss outside as we watch from the other side of the field, and Highsmith momentarily took his eyes off the football. He just cannot afford to do that. Jeffcoat, number 77, along with Whalen and Eugene Lockhart, number 56, all there to make the big play. And 3rd and a mile.
More like 3rd and 20. And Hill makes the catch and a first down at the Dallas 41. What a play. Moon firing a clothesline to Drew Hill, who spears it for the first down.
Moments ago, you saw Drew Hill drop what appeared to be an easy first down pass. I got to tell you, if you want to test the courage of a receiver, get him up in the air with a pass like this when he knows he's going to be drilled. Michael Downs, 26, wham! Didn't burp that ball back up. Hangs on, 1st and 10. Chunk yardage. I mentioned Moon's ability to get the big yardage. A perfect example of it there.
Trailing 7-3, Houston on the drive. This is Alan Pinkett having his best year in the NFL. The former Notre Dame All-America 3 times with the Irish and All-American. Pinkett, with 446 yards rushing, is second for the Oilers behind Rozier.
We talked about the importance of an offensive quarterback. In this Dallas secondary, they have a defensive quarterback too, Michael Downs. And Downs has had a very difficult year, been an up and down year for him, and has not been there when he was needed on a number of occasions. Tried to play hurt through a good part of the year with a groin injury. It's hurt his performance, and his inconsistency has hurt this defense.
Draw play to Pinkett. Hit hard. Gary Cobb and Jim Jeffcoat collaborating on the stop at the 32-yard line. It'll be third down and a short 2.
Pinkett's surprisingly strong. He's one of those squirting runners. Just seems to squirt out of there. His small stature kind of hides him in behind that big offensive line, and the next thing you know, away he goes.
5'9", but 192 pounds is Pinkett.
He could climb right into Bruce Davis's pocket. You wouldn't even know he was there.
And Big Bruce, number 77, that left tackle, former Raider. Shotgun on 3rd and 2. Great protection. And it's a first down catch to Hill inside the 25.
And you say, why run a shotgun on 3rd and 2? Part of Jerry Glanville's philosophy, June Jones's philosophy offensively, will run the formations without regard to down and distance. And this is a perfect example. Dallas, with substitutions for what they thought would be a running play, a short yardage play, faced instead with a shotgun and an easy completion from Moon.
Drew Hill, who played at Georgia Tech, drafted in a late round by the Rams, and Houston acquiring him from the Rams in '85. He's really produced for them. And the 2-minute timeout is signaled, with the Houston Oilers driving toward a possible go-ahead score. The Cowboys have led throughout, but it's just 7-3 for the team of Landry. Lyles, who is a karate expert, came up with a house of pain, referring to the Astrodome. Said the guy who works out with in karate owns a greenhouse. And it applies even here.
I don't think you can find a way to carry that Astrodome with you. They'd like to do that. They have played very well at home this year.
7-3. Tenuous lead for the Cowboys. First down Oilers at the Dallas 22. 2 minutes to go in the half. Underneath and wide open, number 83, Leonard Harris, who played at Texas Tech. His first catch of the day, and it's close to another first down. Halftime. Bob, Ahmad, and Paul are in our studios back in New York. It's a pleasure to have Gail Gardner with us here at Texas Stadium. So stay with us. He'll have highlights of the first game and some interesting features for you, and a recap of the first half of this battle for Texas. Moon looking into the end zone. Should have been intercepted by Victor Scott, intended for Drew Hill. And Moon has thrown some very good passes. He elected not wisely on that one, as Scott had him blanketed.
Sometimes you just have to be lucky. You'll get a feeling for Moon's good fortune on this play. As you said, Dick, this is a ball that's thrown into traffic. And that's an opportunity right there for Victor Scott. There's 22, Scott. No question about his position on the ball, and Moon saying, dodge that one.
Now that's one that doesn't show up in the statistical column. Second and goal. Well, actually 2nd and 10 from just outside the 10. And there goes Rozier for a touchdown. The direct snap, and no one read it.
Saw the play once before. We're going to give you a chance to watch it again. Moon will look like he's going to take this back, but we'll give you a chance to look at it after this play is over. Landry wants to know what went wrong there.
Rozier untouched with his 7th rushing touchdown of the year. It's 9-7 as Zendejas will try the point out of Brent Peace's hold. It's 10-7 Houston, leading for the first time. Shades of the old single wing.
Everyone is concentrating on Warren Moon. But watch the snap right here, and Rozier is just going to bring it up on his own. The defensive lineman read pass all the way. Watch this now as Rozier able to get out, and that's an excellent block by Bruce Matthews, number 74. Really the only man that could have stopped him was right there, and Matthews able to keep him out of the play.
Michael Downs is the man who was coming out of blitz, and he ran right into the block of Matthews, and that left Rozier. Well, Jones did get a tap on the shoulder of Rozier on his way in for the score.
Jones upfield looking pass all the way, and Houston able to pull one out of that bag of tricks that puts 7 points on the board.
12 yards to cap an 80-yard drive by Houston in 11 plays. Mike Rozier of Nebraska has the score.
Dick, so often you like to take advantage of the habits that players develop. And when they see that shotgun, they just assume that that ball is going to the quarterback. They see Moon dropping back, but the ball is not in Moon's hands, and they still think he has it. It's just habit, and they've taken advantage of that with the Houston play that snaps it directly to the running back.
Now for the Cowboys, who have all 3 timeouts remaining. 1:11 left in the half. Burbidge and Higgs are deep. It's Burbidge. And the former Kentucky star has a crack. 35-40s, and Dejas hits the beat. He slowed him down. And the tackle made from behind by Eric Sayers, number 51. But an excellent return for the Cowboys, who with 1:03 left have a chance to regain the lead.
A good kickoff man simply attacked the kickoff coverage team. Watch Burbidge. He explodes, looking for a hole, finds it, and then just takes off. You're absolutely right. If he is not slowed down there by Zendejas, I don't think anyone is going to catch up with him.
53 yards for Burbidge, and Zendejas sees his man coming. It's one-on-one and just gets enough of him to cause a stumble and allow Sayers from behind to make the tackle at the 41 of Houston.
Folsom late coming in. They only have 10 men on the field.
Fake to Walker. The throw to Folsom. And it's a first down at the 23. Jeff Donaldson makes the hit. 18 yards on the play. And timeout spent by the Dallas Cowboys. Well, it's been a most interesting first half with the favorites Houston leading, but Dallas threatening to come back under the guidance of Steve Pallor. Welcome back to Texas Stadium. I suppose some of you are busy in the kitchen now cleaning up the Thanksgiving festivities. I hope it's the old man. Hey, he's been watching football all day anyway, and allow the ladies, who are our best fans so often, to enjoy what has become a very interesting game here at Irving, Texas. Roger Ruzek getting ready for what the Cowboys hope will be an extra point, trailing 10-7. It's Walker to the 19-yard line, and the clock at 47-46 seconds. Cowboys have 2 timeouts left. No huddle.
They'll go quickly here.
Certainly in field goal range at the moment.
Pass play called.
To Walker. Out of bounds at the 16 to stop the clock. 26 seconds left in the half. Well, we've seen some exciting games here in Texas with Tom Landry. All 29 of the years in the history of the Cowboys, he's been the man on the sidelines, and we'll review some of that at halftime for you. The Houston-Dallas football history, both starting in 1960.
Landry, of course, Dick, calls the offensive plays. Jerry Glanville calls the defenses and also calls a number of the offensive plays for Houston. So it's mano a mano.
3rd and 3. Did he get out of bounds? No, the clock is running. He got the first down, but didn't get out of bounds. And they're going to have to spend their final timeout, and that does not please Landry, who's saying to Folsom, why didn't you roll out of bounds?
I think Landry thought he was out of bounds, but Folsom, no one touched Folsom as he's on the ground. The ball is still live. Now watch him as he's down on the ground. The ball is still live. Clock is ticking. Well, I think we ran out of tape on that one.
But he got up back in play rather than rolling out of play.
Let's look at the end of the play, which is the important part. No, he needed to get out of bounds, and he never did. He's touched down. Good call by the official because his hip touched down before he rolled out of bounds.
That really limits Landry because without a timeout, he can't afford a running play because then there'd be no time to get the field goal unit on. Time perhaps for one pass play into the end zone, and then Ruzek would be called for the field goal. Line of scrimmage, the 11-yard line. It's Houston 10, Dallas 7.
It's been in this end of the field that the Cowboys have had a lot of problems during the year, getting down to the red zone inside the 20 and then self-destructing.
Intercepted by Bostic. Intended for Michael Irvin, I believe, or was it Folsom in the end zone?
This is exactly the kind of play that has backfired against this team. As you watch Thornton Chandler coming down inside, he was one of the mid-range receivers here, but that ball thrown way high, just barely first batted and then almost scooped by Jeff Bostic, the strong safety.
They used only 5 seconds, so with 11 seconds left, apparently they'll go for another throw, and they don't have enough men on the field.
That's twice we've seen them with only one tight end on the field.
They've called timeout, but I thought they'd already used their 3. They did have one left, so they call a time with 11 seconds left. The 45-second clock was down to 5 seconds. So it's another shot at the touchdown and then the field goal try. And as a defensive coach, a defensive player, how much of a chance can you take in this situation?
I think you've got to put some pressure on, and you better believe that Houston will do that. That's their style defensively, and Glanville quick to point out that they don't back away from what they think is right, even if the situation might call for other teams to play the conservative call. We'll see how many bodies are coming.
And this is a conservative call because Landry's going to go for the field goal. And the fans don't like it here. With 11 seconds, they figured there was time for a final shot at a touchdown.
Trying to take the sure points in this situation. And Landry, I think, saying, let's get what we're sure we can get.
29-yard attempt by Ruzek. And at halftime, the game even at 10. Although 7 seconds left before the gun.
Landry will be criticized for that, but this is a Cowboy team with a very shallow confidence level. And I think what he's saying is, I want the points, then we can go in. We know where we are at halftime. We've got one half of football to play. If we go for the touchdown and mess it up here, don't get any points, that might shake us before we go into halftime.
That's a good point. The whole negativism that would surround a 10-7 deficit when you had the opportunity to score at the half, then you got to wade through that at halftime. Now at least they can say, hey, we're playing a 30-minute game. You've done well.
Cowboys had good emotional flow. They came out, established themselves early as we said they had to do with their running game. Herschel Walker carrying that ball down as they were able to pound Houston's interior and front seven to get that ball down and punch it into the end zone. But it has been a good half of football for these Cowboys, especially after the way they played over the last 3 weeks.
Well, how about the Oilers? They're the ones who really have a lot at stake here. Jerry Glanville's club, despite the fact they're 8-4, have never won more than 2 in a row all season long. And yet, as you pointed out, if they win this game and the next 3, they not only avoid the wild card spot, they will host the game in the second round of the playoffs, beating Cincinnati for the AFC Central lead. There it is. Of course, one of the wins would be at Cincinnati should they win 4 in a row. But hardly settled yet. Cincinnati and Buffalo play this Sunday. That'll be something. You'll see it on NBC. They skid it down to Harris. And the return man for the Oilers out to the 35-yard line with 1 second left in the first half. The schedule for Houston is Pittsburgh at home, Cincinnati, at home at the Astrodome, and then they finish at Cleveland. And of course, Cleveland, part of that whole playoff battle, as the Central Division is the strongest of the three in the AFC this year. Stay with us for NFL Live at halftime.
Number 78 is eligible for Houston.
Number 78, Maggs, is playing a tight end position. Actually, Houston came into this game with only one tight end, Jamie Williams.
Verhulst is on the 47-man roster, but he was inactivated for this game.
So Williams is on one end of the line and Maggs the other. It doesn't really matter. It's the sit-down final play, and that is the end of the first half. Texas in the north and Houston in the south. 29 years of professional football in the heart of Texas. We'll examine that more in depth. And here on this Thanksgiving Day game 1988, they're even at the half, 10 aside. Pinkett. Pinkett deep with Harris the deep man, although it's coming this time to White, the #1 pick out of Michigan State. And the rookie is toppled at the 14-yard line. Good coverage. Billy Bates, Todd Fowler in on the tackle along with Steve Diassi, number 55.
Somebody should have been there to help the rookie and tell him to stay in. Let's look at those halftime stats. Very even stats. No turnovers in the ball game. Cowboys with a little edge in the time of possession, and most of that from that long first drive. And Dick, the Cowboys set the tempo for this game in the first drive of the first half. Houston needs to come right out and set the tempo in this second half. Otherwise, these Cowboys are going to begin to feel like, hey, we can win this game.
From the 14-yard line, Warren Moon to Rozier. And he has 5, maybe 6 out near the 20-yard line. One of the most surprising statistics of the first half, penalties. Houston 5 yards and Dallas 5 yards, the two most penalized teams in the NFL.
Jerry Glanville and Tom Landry have different feelings about that. Landry wants a team that controls its emotions, and his team is much that way. Glanville wants that emotional surge.
Yeah, the Cowboys own the first quarter and the Oilers the second. We're tied at 10. Alonzo Highsmith, the lone back behind Moon on 2nd down and 5. And the big fullback rips it out, and there go the flags. It might be a face mask.
Manny Hendricks, I believe, number 45, got up and got a hold of Highsmith's face mask. Highsmith had been doing a very fine job at 6.6 average over the last 5 ball games.
45 defense grabbed the face mask. 5-yard penalty. It gives him a first down.
5-yard penalty as you see 45 come in. Hendricks, and in his efforts to get Highsmith down, his hand catching that face bar. Highsmith, who still feels that he's a fullback, but his body says linebacker. He still thinks he could be an all-pro as a linebacker. That's what he played early in his high school career.
I'll tell you one thing he does better than any back in the league is pick up those linemen and linebackers and blitzing backs when Moon is back to pass.
First down for Moon. Blitz. Fumble. It was after the whistle as Ron Burton, the free agent long shot, tried to recover, but the whistle had sounded.
That was a situation where Highsmith got his man, but there were just too many bodies on their way in. Highsmith will pick up the outside man, Burton. There is Burton, and Highsmith has him. But
Gary Cobb was the man coming in on the blind side to make the hit.
there's Highsmith. There's his pickup, but Moon from the blind side simply did not feel Cobb coming in. Jeffcoat also there. So the Cowboys getting good pressure. First sack of the day.
Gary, rough as a Cobb, makes the hit. First sack of the day. There's that touchdown play with Rozier carrying the ball dangerously but effectively out to the 35-yard line. So it worked for a score. They use it again out of the shotgun.
Chance to watch the play, and again the direct snap will get get a player or two out of position. Boy, all kinds of lines here. The man that's beaten on that play is Whalen. You see Whalen taking himself out there. A stunt with Too Tall coming to the inside. They just split the seam. Moon reaching out like he's going to take the ball. That play has worked so well. Watch the forearm here as he rips up. Bingo. Ouch. Send him back. Good power.
Sent Ron Francis back on his pants. 3rd down and about 6. And the Cowboys make the play on Alonzo Highsmith. Burton there on the hit. He played at North Carolina. So the punting team comes on for the Houston Oilers. You said, Merlin, that locker rooms at halftime had to be quite in contrast.
Different, I think, Dick, because of the expectations for the first half. I think the Cowboys very happy to see a tie. Houston disappointed. I think Landry just wanting to keep the emotional level of his people up, keep their confidence level up. Houston knowing that they've got to get themselves going. They're the ones who've been flat here in the first half.
Kelvin Martin back at the 20 for Dallas. As Montgomery, who had his longest kick of his rookie year, 61 yards in the first half.
Great hang time on that kick. Great hang time.
And Martin gets out of a covey of blue and is out of bounds across the 25-yard line. Timeout with 4 minutes gone in the second half. And when you got the experience and the game's close, the experience is going to win. 2nd and 4. Good fake by Walker. Pallur wide open. Chandler, and the tight end is to the 50-yard line. Ed Pallur and Walker are carrying out fakes as well as we've seen any quarterback running back combination this year.
And if either one of them doesn't carry it out, it's not believable. Watch how Walker stays bent over almost all the way. Well, he is out of your picture, and Pallur finally slipping that football up. Chandler wide open on the play. Johnny Meads, who'd come up still believing Pallur had the football.
Nice throw to Chandler. His first catch, 18 yards. He was close to another down in the end zone in the first half. Another fake to Walker. The throw complete, and Alexander is hammered at the 35 and pops right back to his feet. Patrick Allen hits him right in the chops.
Patrick Allen, it might have been Jeff Donaldson coming up. Allen from the back, and the front side, Jeff Donaldson. Watch Donaldson. Amazing that Alexander is able to hang on to the football. Watch this hit.
So Allen from behind, and Donaldson with a easy shot. I don't know, why isn't that a penalty into the helmet? Down the middle, open is Alexander to the 3-yard line. So Pallur comes right back to his courageous wide receiver Alexander, and it works again.
Steve Pallur, fine pass. They're short and long in coverage here, but that ball thrown between the coverage. Beautifully done by Pallur, who has yet to have an interception on the day.
What I liked about Alexander, after just being hit by Donaldson, here's Donaldson again, and Alexander knows that he's going to get hit again. He's out there naked, but hugs onto the ball for another 30 yards, and it's 1st and goal. Herschel Walker hit in the backfield by 51 Eric Thayer. Thayer from Memphis State makes a big play on 1st down for Houston and a 5-yard loss. So it's 2nd down and goal at the 9-yard line. Jerry Glanville, who played at Northern Michigan. Long time as an assistant coach, high school, college, pros. Finally earned the job as the head man. His team is a unique one, and they're going to run out of time, and Pallur has to use second half timeouts. That has always been a problem in the Dallas system. The play calling is such that how many times through the years, even with Staubach, did they have to call time? The play's not in time or set up at the line of scrimmage in time. Midway through the third quarter, still tied at 10. Second and goal from the 9-yard line after the timeout. Pallur underneath. Alexander twisted around at the 3-yard line. Boy, is he taking his lumps like going in there against Tyson. You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down, and he comes back for more. Meanwhile, during the timeout, or the play preceding the timeout, here's Tom Landry.
The play has gone in to the quarterback, Pallur, and Landry's saying, come on, get it going. You're running out of time. Pallur had big problems early in the year and used up a lot of timeouts, and it did in one game cost them an opportunity for a field goal just before the half, I believe, against Philadelphia.
In a 10-all tie, it's third and goal from the 3. Pallur gets the block and scores. A great block on the corner. I believe it was either Fowler or Kerr, and that cleared the path for Steve Pallur.
Eric Bears had come up just a moment ago to make a big play on the outside. He was up again on that play, but Crawford Kerr, I believe, just leveled him. We'll get a chance to show you after this kick.
Now Steve Pallur, after scoring the touchdown, now will hold for Ruzek on the extra point. Well, a touchdown drive inspired by the tough catches of Ray Alexander, the wide receiver.
And the Cowboys setting the tempo here in the second half, just as they did in the first.
Ruzek slides that extra point inside the upright. It's 17-10. Let's look for that block on the Pallur touchdown.
68, Crawford Kerr right in the middle of your screen. Watch him pulling on this play. 51, Eric Bears down on the ground, and Pallur into the end zone.
6:21 left in the third quarter. The Oilers, a team very tough at home in the House of Pain, the Astrodome, where they're unbeaten, but an average team on the road this year, 2-4, and they trail underdog Dallas 17-10 with 6 minutes plus remaining in the third quarter. And it's not that hard-hitting, high-flying, attacking team that we've seen in the Astrodome.
It's not, but certainly a lot of time left in this ball game and an opportunity for the Oilers to turn things around. But right now, the Cowboys feeling awfully good about themselves, and the Oilers going to have to go to work on it.
Leonard Harris at the 3. Oh, somersaulted down by Steve Diassi, the linebacker from Boston College. At the 19-yard line, Diassi sacrificing his body.
Diassi with that black mask across it, a Darth Vader look, and he is a Darth Vader on this play, just throwing his body in, knocking everyone down, including the ball carrier.
First down and a timeout. We have an injured player. A Houston Oiler down on the play. So with a timeout, 6:11 left in the third quarter, and the Cowboys a touchdown lead. Injured player was Richard Johnson, or Kenny Johnson. Kenny Johnson, 22. He's off under his own power. First down, Oilers at the 19-yard line. Moon dumps it off incomplete. Intended for Curtis Duncan, and he took quite a pop. There's Kenny Johnson. Let's see what happened on that kickoff return.
Very often when you try and stop the blow as you try to head for the ground, watch Johnson reach out to take the weight right there, and it's right there on the arm. As he hits the ground, he'll roll over and grab the forearm, and I think he may have injured that forearm as he reached out to catch himself, his feet high above his head.
They'll go take x-rays undoubtedly. Left wrist is the injured area. 2nd and 10 with the Oilers trailing 17-10. 6 minutes left in the third quarter. Highsmith. Running like Earl Campbell, a big fullback with good speed in the open, and he has a first down at the 42-yard line.
That's an option pitch. Houston pulling the stops. Watch Moon. He's running the option play. Did it in his college days. He said, I can do it again. They option on the corner right there and just pitch it to the outside and pick up good yardage on the play.
Highsmith, who is averaging 5 yards a rush, and boy, Moon with a perfect toss as he had Ron Burton right into his face, and that opened it up for Highsmith. 23 yards on the play.
That's an expensive option quarterback.
Moon slides down at the 48-yard line and still takes a pop. That's foot first slide, supposedly ending a play, but the quarterback still will taste a little tackle.
Well, very often you've got to roll off and show that you didn't intend to get there. Moon sliding at the last second. Manny Hendricks, I think it really started. You notice he's backing off. He's trying to roll off. If he had really thumped down on top of Moon, he might have drawn a flag.
This is that red gun, 4 wide receivers out of the shotgun.
Calling the audible. Relayed out by the 2 wides.
And then the throw to Gibbons has a first down at the 40 of Dallas. Didn't like the way he was hit.
No, he didn't like what Cobb did to him. Cobb said, hey, man, I'm just trying to do my job. But Moon must have seen something in his pre-snap look. Must have been able to guess what defense Dallas was going to be in. Called the audible. Had the man wide open, breaking across the inside. Watch Moon now as he calls to the outside, and everyone leans back. Gibbons now turns outside and relays it out to the wide man so that everyone knows what the play is.
Underneath to Drew Hill to the 33-yard line, and a solid gain of 7 on first down for the Oilers. Robert Williams and the Cowboys very high on this free agent. At the corner, number 23, played at Baylor, made the tackle. At the conclusion of this game, we'll be selecting our Budweiser Most Valuable Player. We'll announce that near the final gun.
Very often we see defensive players moving over to play on the offensive side, particularly defensive linemen. Here's an offensive player moving to the defensive backfield and doing an excellent job.
Robert Williams, he's over on the far side at the moment. And it's Highsmith. Hit by Jeffcoat. Jim Jeffcoat stacking him up after a short gain. It'll be 3rd and 2. Gary Cobb, the second line of defense. And Randy White was in on the play as well. You think Randy White will be back next year, number 54?
I talked to Randy, and basically what he said, if they want me, I'll be back. But he has sure had a tough season, and he's been missed in there. One of the leaders that Landry has called on and counted on for so long, with a neck injury that's kept him out of the lineup for so long, and really has been mostly ineffective during this season. But I'll tell you, he's a great player.
3rd down, about 2.5. Option again. Moon keeps it. He has to eat it at the line of scrimmage. Too Tall Jones said, I may be an old man, but they had that option in my day at Tennessee State as well.
Let's see if we can see how Too Tall is able to shut that play down. Too Tall right here. He's going to get up the field to stop that play. Steinkuhler, number 70, trying to block him. Too Tall stretching it out to the outside. And Warren Moon, just too many bodies there. Steve DiOssi, number 55. Great inside-out pursuit. No alley and nobody to toss to.
This will be a 50-yard attempt by Tony Zendejas. His longest is 52. He's got plenty of leg, and he's got a three-pointer. Zendejas officially from 49 yards cuts the Dallas lead to 17-13. 1 minute, 24 seconds remaining in the third, and the Battle of Texas still finds Dallas in front. Darryl Clack and Cornell Burbidge are back. Burbage won't be able to run this one back. He had a key 53-yard return in the first half. Now they'll start from the 20-yard line as you look at Ernie Stautner and the defense.
Stautner busy diagramming over there, talking to his troops about what he wants defensively. I'll tell you, though, here's one guy who's earned his day's pay, and he's going to be glad he's got 10 days off before the next game.
Spencer Tillman, who played at Oklahoma. He's the wedge breaker. Hello. They award the special teams helmet.
Hit the beach award.
To the man who shows the most courage and success on special teams in Houston. Pallur. Right through the hands of Walker. Should have been caught. John Grimsley was the closest Oiler. Richard Byrd won the helmet last week, and I guess the special teams and the folks down in Houston will tell you that they really pay attention to those kickoff and punt covered teams. In fact, even the Oiler offense will break huddle and come out to the sidelines to watch.
Well, Dick, you got to believe that wherever they play great special teams, the whole team cares about special teams, and the whole team watches those films together, and they make them feel special.
Walker up the middle for 3. It'll be 3rd and 7. William Fuller first in on the tackle. Before the game, then the ritual is if you win the helmet, then the next game, 2 hours before the game, you come out on the field and parade. And here's Byrd 2 hours before the kickoff today.
Congratulations from Jerry Glanville. There's the helmet. At the end of the season, if you've got a helmet, they have a special party, and that's your ticket to get in.
You wear a tuxedo and the helmet.
Tuxedo and the helmet.
How would you ever know who they are?
Now, he's a little crazy, but he's got some good ideas.
Third and 7. What a kick. No, intercepted. Donaldson, and he laterals it off to Allen at the 33, and a flag down, and Pallur is down where the flag was thrown.
Sean Jones, number 96, may have roughed Pallur, and what a costly penalty, because it takes the turnover right out of the hands of the Houston Oilers.
I got a personal foul on number 96 defense. However, it was after the interception. Penalize Houston for the
okay.
dead
So
ball.
it's after Pallur gets back up.
It'll be dead ball first
Let's
down.
see what happens. Well, we won't see it in that situation. Maybe in this one. He's taken down, and when he gets back up, he's hit by number 96.
Here's
Sean Jones. There's John Jones, top of your screen. Keep it going. Keep it going.
Oh.
There's the shot.
That wasn't just your average block. And so the penalty will be marked off 15 yards from where the ball was intercepted, and that'll take it back out near midfield. But Houston maintains possession at the Dallas 48.
That's one that will end up on the desk of the commissioner, I'm sure.
But the first turnover of this Thanksgiving Day in Dallas goes to Houston. And so the Oilers trailing by only 4, 17-13, and 18 seconds left in the third quarter with the timeout. It'll be Houston going for the lead when we return. He's of Washington, Steve Pallur, and Jones would just soon not have to look at this one again, because this is a real foul.
Well, he will see it again, I'm sure, and he'll be asked to explain it. You don't go trying to tear the head off the quarterback. This is the kind of thing that brings out the ire of coaches, and it's definitely going to get him a look from the commissioner's office.
Houston, meanwhile, Highsmith on first down is to the 43-yard line, a gain of 5. Randy White makes the tackle. Final play of the third quarter. Now the Oilers, the most penalized team, as we told you, between Dallas and Houston, or 1-2 in penalties. Over a mile of yards have been walked off by officials. They're keeping the referees around the NFL in shape. That's the end of the third. It's been a rough year, 88 on quarterbacks. You just kind of wonder if they're not wearing this around the Thanksgiving table today, some of the guys.
Well, this is the quarterback Moon's pad, and you notice it's built with a special flap that goes over his broken scapula. And this particular pad looks like one worn by linemen. It's got the protection for the ribs. Even that would not have protected Pallur on that shot he took from Sean Jones.
Drew Hill on the first play of the fourth quarter appears to have a first down at the Dallas 37-yard line. A 7-yard throw from Warren Moon. Here are the three-quarter statistics. For the total yards, only 7 yards difference, and that's reflected in the score at 17-13 Dallas.
Reflected too on that big 80-yard and 74-yard drive. The 80-yarder started for Dallas at the beginning of the game. 74 the first drive after the start of the game.
Wow, what a hit delivered by Everson Walls. Cubby is hard. That was a Big Bear hit, not a Cubby hit. And the wide receiver, Ernest Gibbons, has not yet gotten to his feet.
And you have a sense that that shot, that hit on Pelluer, angered that whole Dallas bench. And they came right out and said, hey, you don't do that to one of ours.
Let's listen to the hit. Yeah, that's not a happy sound. Let's hope that there's not a serious injury involved, and you have the sense that Walls, who is a class act, is hoping along with us that there isn't a serious injury to a star player. Well, that was a retaliation, no question. When one of yours is hurt, same in baseball, they're going to knock you down with a fastball. If you're a hitter coming up the next inning, you better not dig in.
Play from the other side of the receiver, so vulnerable as he turns with that football in hand.
Hassan Jones, a 15-yard ticket after a forearm to the chops of Steve Pelluer.
A big difference in those hits. This hit well within the framework of the rules and outstandingly timed by Walls, but no question about the impetus that put Walls in gear for that shot.
And Gibbons.
It looks like he may be all right. I think they rung his bell pretty well on that play, however. Yep,
well, he's okay. Well, that's good news. And more good news tonight. Stay right with us on NBC. Part of our Thanksgiving day and evening. The best in comedy. The Cosby Show. A Different World and Cheers. And NBC's new comedy hit, Dear John, starring Judd Hirsch. L.A. Law is making a case for great television. Tonight, happy Thanksgiving from all of us at NBC. What a lineup Thursday night on NBC.
Dick, after a first half that saw us with 2 5-yard penalties, one each way, suddenly things are starting to heat up on that side of the ball.
Dallas 17, Houston 13 early in the fourth quarter. 2nd and 10. Moon going deep for Drury, and he was out of bounds even had he caught the ball.
Victor Scott, number 22, the man that's stretching out with him into the end zone.
Actually, 23, Robert Williams there as well.
Okay. I believe it was 23. Looked like 23. He turned sideways. I got the 2-2 instead of the 2-3.
Well, it's so delicate, that articulation between quarterback and receiver. Just having to get it just in the right spot. 3rd and 10. Gibbons trying to wipe the cobwebs on the sideline. Drury has replaced him. Complete to Drury. Or Leonard Harris it is. 83 out of bounds with a first down at the 22-yard line. 14 yards to Harris, who was a replacement player last year after a couple of years in the USFL with the Denver team.
The thing that Warren Moon has done better this year than he has in any other year in the NFL is pick out the 2nd and 3rd receivers to be able to know what that defense is doing. And one of the reasons he had problems adjusting to the NFL was that he had a whole succession of offensive systems and offensive coaches. 3 years now with the same system has really helped Warren Moon.
They're at the 22-yard line, trailing 17-13. Highsmith. Oh, what balance, and he's inside the 15, using that free hand to brace himself and charge forward for an extra 5. Gary Cobb made the hit. Alonzo Highsmith, 234 pounds, and then with this kind of agility. Watch him hit after a couple yards, beautifully handling that first hit and gaining about 8.
And so often it's just sheer determination. He was not going to go down.
2nd and 2. Rozier, a big hole. It's 1st and goal. Houston from the 6-yard line. Boy, the blockers on the left side. Bruce Davis, Munchak, and the tight end Williams really blowing a good hole open for Rozier.
Stotner wondering what's happening to his defense. Bruce Davis, number 77, over on that side, along with Munchak, number 63. Watch them as they go ahead and just. Boy, Davis just wiped out the whole right side of that Dallas defensive line, creating a fine hole for Rozier.
6 yards from the lead for Houston. Rozier gets only 1. Eugene Lockhart, haven't called his name much today. Eugene, the hitting machine from the University of Houston, first there.
They call Bruce Davis Jumbo. He weighs in at about 335. He said he's somewhere between 200 and a ton. But now when you weigh him, they said you got to listen to the scale. He goes so big, he gets on there and they see how hard it hits the top after they put it up to 300 pounds. So they listen for the clunk and guess how much over 300 he is.
One of those audio scales would be pretty good on him. Celebrate the lead. 19-13.
Patience. A quarterback has to find the open man. Wait, and there it is. Right there. Drew Hill, number 38, Ron Francis, man-to-man in coverage, but he could not contain Hill, who has the touchdown.
19-17, excuse me, I said 19-13, and now for 27. No, he missed to the right. Zendejas misses the extra point, and it remains 19-17. So Zendejas takes some of the fun out of that touchdown after Hill had scored for the 9th time this year. Olsen, welcome back to Texas Stadium, where the Oilers now enjoy the lead by 2, 19-17. But Zendejas missing the extra point could play a very important part in the remaining minutes of this 4th quarter. A line drive through the wedge, fielded by Darryl Clack, and he's to the 27-yard line. Let's go back to the touchdown and Warren Moon.
Moon throws a very flat pass, a powerful arm, but extremely accurate. Watch the way he'll just level this football. Has a chance to drop back here. Hill comes inside, and right there, that ball just level, just a string, just as if it were on a string.
Nolan Ryan throws that kind of ball down there in Houston.
You've got to be a pretty fine receiver to handle that. You know, the Rams thought that Hill was too small, willing to let him go. I bet they wish they had him back. I know they wish they had him back.
Yeah, that's his 9th touchdown reception, and now it's Dallas with Walker. The last man was Jeff Donaldson, or Walker with his speed is gone. A pickup of about 8 on 1st down, and Donaldson throwing his 190 pounds into the path of the charging Walker, who despite his size at 225, Herschel Walker was in the ballet last year, remember? And they said they invited him this year, not Donaldson, who might have made quite an interesting pas de deux, but Walker was invited to dance in the Nutcracker Suite. I guess he'd been right at home. The Nutcracker is part of the football drill.
Certainly is a one-on-one, very physical drill, not ballet-like in its attack positions, however.
Might have created some interesting theater, though. Pelure overshoots his tight end Thornton Chandler. And pressure was on. Bostic coming in on a safety blitz. Dallas scored first, then a field goal by Zendejas. Rozier a touchdown to make it 10-7. Ruzek tied it at final seconds of the first half. Pelure a 3-yard sweep to give Dallas the lead. Zendejas a 49-yard field goal to make it 17-13 after 3. And now the touchdown. Moon to Hill 5 yards to give Houston the lead 19-17. But the missed extra point. 3rd and a yard and a half. Walker has the first down and almost was off to the races. That's the kind of play with everyone in tight defensively, and you get a back like Walker breaking a couple tackles, and then there's no one left.
You can afford to approach this differently if you're Tom Landry, knowing now that a field goal will win this game for you. Landry, I think, willing to take his time on this drive, work the ball down the field, take as much off the clock as possible. And of course, the way to do that is to utilize the big bull, Herschel Walker.
You can credit Jeff Donaldson with 6 points. His tackle saved the touchdown. Walker on first down gains only a yard to the 45 of Dallas. You know, that Donaldson, we showed you his picture just moments ago from University of Colorado. They feel he's having a Pro Bowl year. He was a 9th round pick back in '84. Tough player. His 2-year-old daughter last year, 2 years old, Samantha, had a brain tumor. It was a scary time around the playoffs. They had to operate on Samantha, and you've seen that United Way commercial now, and she's doing well, thank you. They've added another member to the family, and he's having a great year. Todd Fowler, seldom used as a receiver, and it didn't fool 53 Eugene Seal, the little dynamo of a linebacker. He's about 5'8" and 240. He's that special team star.
They call him Eugene One-Man Gang Seal. You see why. Open field. These are the toughest tackles to make right here. And Seal, right there, takes his man to the ground. Dick, you talk about the kids. A cute story coming from Jerry Glanville. His 6-year-old son, Justin, is a Cowboy fan. And he said he had to have a talk with him and say, Justin, now you have to cheer for Daddy's team this week. He said, oh, Daddy, why? He said, because we're playing your team, the Cowboys.
3rd down and 7. Donaldson on the blitz, and it was almost intercepted. We were talking about Jeff Donaldson, and they freed him up. And he gets into Pelure.
Let's watch Jeff Donaldson get his work in here as Pelure under pressure. And I mentioned earlier that Pelure has made a great many mistakes when the heat is on. There's Donaldson right there, putting the heat on, forcing that bad throw, and the near interception.
Willie Drury is back deep for Houston.
Bad kick.
Saxon's punt will take a Dallas bounce, however, and it becomes a pretty good kick down to the 9-yard line.
What appeared to be a bad kick.
That's right. He's had a couple of those today. 8:35 left in the 4th quarter. Houston with the ball and a 2-point lead. To you, Bob, and all the men and women that make NFL Live a delightful half-hour start to our football Sundays. And today, Thanksgiving Day. Good news, Ernest Givens is okay. Had the wind knocked out of him. He's in the lineup for Houston as they start from the 9-yard line. And Moon hits Givens, who's all the way to the 43-yard line. How do you do?
That's coming right back to announce yourself. I tell you, that's just like getting back on the horse. He goes back to the same side, goes right at the same defensive back, Everson Walls, and he's limping to the sideline. But watch him here. Walls is going to fall down as he tries to get back, slips, and that's all that Givens needs. Givens goes for the extra yardage. Watch at the end of the play, Walls from the backside, and it looks like Downs may have come down on the back of his heels. He's limping as he goes to the sideline.
33 yards on the play. 4 wide receivers for Moon. As Houston leading 19-17 midway through the 4th quarter. They got out of the hole. They were inside the 10. Moon in the grass. The whistle blows, and a flag is down. Jim Jeffcoat gets the sack.
I think the whistle blew before the pass was thrown. It was indeed to an ineligible receiver, but I don't think it's going to count. Cowboys able to get great coverage. That's simply and purely a coverage sack.
There was no foul on the play. We had ineligible downfield. However, the pass was not thrown. It called in the grass before the pass. No foul. Second down.
Referee Gene Barth with the explanation, and the sack takes it back to the 34-yard line. Now watch Jeffcoat fighting off the blocker Bruce Davis, and he definitely has him in control in the grasp. Second down. 19. Looking for Hill. He's got him out at the 46-yard line of the Oilers. Make it the 47. It'll be third down and about 6.
I talked earlier about Moon's ability and the ability of this Houston offense to pick up big chunks of yardage. They've done it several times in this game. Here they do it again. Manny Hendricks, the isolated man on Hill, and they have the play with a 3rd and 7 now to pick it up for the first down.
6 minutes, 40 seconds left in the final quarter.
Dick, some bad news coming up from the locker room where Kenny Johnson apparently has a broken forearm. Probably will be out for the rest of the season.
That injury on that kickoff that we showed you. Moon, wide open Hill again as he beats Hendricks, and it's a first down at the Dallas 40.
Good football teams, when you are beaten by a play, will say, you cover the play, we'll come right back at you. The same identical play twice in a row, and Moon able to find the isolation, a man-on-man situation, and zip it right in there.
That's 9 catches for Hill and 113 yards, so he has 57 catches for the year.
In this Houston offense, the receivers and the quarterback both have to read, and Dallas slow getting their defensive players off the field. Cincinnati would have snapped the ball already and had them for pedaling.
Alan Pinkett and the former Notre Dame stars to the 25 and another first down. And they have such an incredible group of running backs in Houston. You bring in a Pinkett. They haven't even used Lorenzo White.
Number 20, left side of your screen, coming in behind the block of Highsmith, Alonzo Highsmith. Look at that block right there on Billy Bates, number 40. And Pinkett, as we said, a real scooter. You give him room to run, he's going to pick up some yardage.
Moon has them in field goal range at the first down at the 25. They lead by 2. Pinkett and Highsmith with Moon. Underneath, incomplete to Givens. So Warren Moon now is 15 for 29 on the day. 227 yards passing for the Houston quarterback and 1 touchdown. He had 5 consecutive Grey Cup rings when he led Edmonton to the Canadian Football League Championship up in the north. And a lot of our friends not celebrating Thanksgiving, but the fact they're seeing American football and how they enjoyed Warren Moon in Edmonton.
Amazing to see him throwing the ball so well when you consider that it was early in the season he broke that scapula on his throwing arm, and it still gives him some problems.
Pinkett. No, sir, says Eugene Lockhart. Lockhart in the backfield to throw Pinkett for a big loss.
One of the things that Houston has done to Dallas's defense all day is to cross them up, running on passing downs, passing on running downs. This time it's penetration by number 56 right in the middle of your screen. The only man in there, but he said, hey, I'm here, I can handle the job. Strips him down in the backfield, and 3rd and 15. Moon will be challenged on this one.
Shotgun with Highsmith. 4 wide receivers. Almost intercepted by number 38, Ron Francis. Oh, that was close. Curtis Duncan was the
emphasis, I'm sure, still smarting. He was the man covering on Drew Hill's touchdown. Hill will come all the way across the field. Not Hill, Duncan, Curtis Duncan, coming all the way across the field, but the coverage is excellent on Ron Francis's part, and I'm sure that's the one he'd choose to remember when he goes to sleep tonight.
Here's Zendejas trying a 47-yard field goal. Remember, he missed an extra point, but he's kicked a 49-yard field goal. It is good. He kicked it low, but drove it through, and the Oilers lead by 5. A field goal can't beat them. And with 4.5 minutes to go, Dallas will have to score a touchdown to take the lead. The game is the property of the National Football League and the Houston Oilers and Dallas Cowboys. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game is strictly prohibited. Darryl Clack and Cornell Burbidge deep. 4.5 minutes to go. Dallas trails by 5. It's Burbidge, who had a big return in the first half. He fumbles, and Houston recovers. Al Smith recovers for the Oilers. And he may have made the hit as well, so he earned the football.
We talked about special team emphasis, about the special consideration that these special teams players get. 33, there's the wedge buster. There's the hit, and it is Al Big Toe Smith, and he got not only the hit, which stripped the ball right out of Burbidge's grasp. Watch it here. Head right into the football. Knocked it loose. No chance to hang on to that one, and then quick enough to pounce on it and cover it.
At the Dallas 15-yard line, and you can't take anything away from Tillman's effort. With that wedge breaking, he drew a lot of attention, cleared it for Smith, who made the big play. Now Moon trying to add to the 5-point lead. And Rozier gets 2 or 3 yards. And Jerry Glanville, you know he loved that play by Al Smith.
Celebrating on the sideline, and the big plays which had been absent. We talked about a lack of emotional consistency for Houston, but they have come up with big plays here in the second half, and maybe that one will ensure their victory.
2 turnovers today forced by Houston. That gives them 36 on the year, and we go back to Dallas, and part of their problems, they've had none. They have only 13 takeaways all year. That's amazing.
Aggressive defensive play, aggressive special teams play really has paid off for the Houston Oilers.
Using the clock, it's Pinkett for a yard to the 11-yard line. Danny Noonan playing hurt. Gary Cobb, they're in on the tackle. I want to thank our director and producer, Ted Nathanson, Larry Cirillo, and all the men and women here on NBC Sports who gave up their holiday time away from their families to bring you the pictures and sounds. A great job today from Texas Stadium. There's the update. Takeaways, and that's certainly an indication of aggressive play. 36 times Houston has forced the opponents to give up the ball, and last in the league, Dallas with only 13. 19-17, 22-17 after the field goal, and now the Oilers trying to capitalize on the fumble. It's Rozier. He's close to a first down, apparently a yard shy, as Randy White, the veteran, makes the big tackle. A field goal would make it an 8-point lead, and that's as good as a touchdown for Glanville at this point. Timeout for the measurement.
Glanville won't mess with it. It's clearly short of the first down. You have to admire those hard-nosed runners, and Rozier about as tough and hard-nosed a runner as you'll find in the NFL.
Last year, one of the scouts describing Rozier as they measure, and it is considerably short, about a foot. And I thought this is a wonderful way to express a good hard runner. He said he radiates toughness.
He does do that. And I'll tell you, what an advantage for this Houston offense to have not only Rozier, but Highsmith, and then Lorenzo White in reserve. And I know the Houston coaches feel that Lorenzo White is going to be a big asset later in the year.
All right, here's Zendejas. He's made 2 long field goals, but he missed the extra point. And this is a short one, only 23 It is good, and that should seal it for the Oilers. (25-17) as Zendejas hits his third field goal. 22 yards officially.
For the Dallas Cowboys, this may seem to be deja vu of the games early in the year. Again, staying in the game, but blown out right in the last minutes.
Well, that's not what Cincinnati and Cleveland wanted to see. You have to figure they were rooting for Dallas today. The Bengals will play Buffalo on Sunday. Well, that'll be a treat for you. San Diego, at Houston, Cincinnati, and at home against Washington. Nothing very easy about that schedule for Cincinnati. And you saw Cleveland as well. We can see that again. We'll run down the Browns' remaining opponents as they're fighting for a playoff spot, probably wild card. Now Houston has Pittsburgh and Cincinnati at home and at Cleveland. As we said, if they win those three, Houston wins the AFC Central and will host, will not be a wild card, Cleveland at Washington, home against Dallas, at Miami, and then home against Houston. Boy, the schedule makers made it interesting every week. Now the playoff picture. Buffalo is clinched. This is just the AFC. Cincinnati, second best record. Houston, though, will watch with interest how Cincinnati does against Buffalo. We'll look at that a little more after this kickoff as Zendejas ready to put it in play. Burbage, who fumbled the last kickoff return, gets to only the 19-yard line. And they try to steal it from him, but the play had been whistled dead, and with it we have the 2-minute timeout. It comes with 1 minute 56 seconds remaining, and the Dallas Cowboys, down by 8, are flirting closely with their 9th consecutive loss.
Preparation. They'll enjoy having some extra time now. It'll be a lot easier for Houston with the win than it will be with Dallas with the continued losing streak.
Incomplete as Pallor tries to hit Ray Alexander. Patrick Allen on the coverage. 1:50 to go. The American Conference, although there's been a lot of talk about how tough the NFC is, should go on record. The AFC going into the day 23-19, and an Oiler win would make it 24-19 on the season. Play to Darryl Clack, working the sidelines and out of bounds out at the 34-yard line with a first down. We want to thank Joe Costanza, our statistician supreme, and our staff, Jarrett Bell and Craig Gleber. Craig, the son of one of the great sportscasters in the Southwest and around the nation, the late Frank Gleber. Nice to have him in the booth with us. Jerry Cohn, Mitch Lewis also aboard. Our thanks to you all.
The Oilers with just 2 men rushing, of course, concerned basically with the clock of 1:42 ticking down. They're very comfortable with their lead, and boy, it's going to be a long 10 days here in Dallas.
Painful in a city where they're accustomed to winning. Nice play defensively by 91 Shawnee Meads. He breaks up the pass at midfield. Court card. Some top grades to the Oilers. Warren Moon, no interceptions again. He's only thrown 4 all year to go with 13 touchdowns. Rozier 66 yards to lead the rushers, and Hill, the big play man, 113 yards, and Zendejas 3 for 3. But you got to drop him from the A down to a C+ when he missed the extra point. Second and 10 for Pallor. Incomplete through the hands of Everett Gay. And now the Cowboys report card. Pallor, not a bad day for Pallor. And Walker 69 yards. That's under his average on the year. Alexander 6 tough catches and 89 yards. And the 2 turnovers equal 10 points. And that spells defeat.
That's the difference in the game right there. And the fact that Houston, with those opportunities, capitalized.
3rd and 10 with 1.5 minutes left. Cowboys have 2 timeouts left. Flags down, incomplete.
Well, they got Gogan for holding on Childress. Gogan almost had him tackled on the way in.
Well, you know, Merlin, you were on both sides, and as you pointed out,
Holding, 68 offense, penalty refused, 4th down.
at least in your career, you ended with winning teams. You started with the losing teams, and you know the pain of having to deal with going out in public and having people tell you what's wrong with you.
And you try and have a sense of humor. Crawford Kerr called for that penalty. He said to be a great team, you got to go through the peaks and valleys. We're sure in a big valley right now, and boy, I tell you, it has been tough times, and it is not over yet here in Dallas.
1960, they lost 10 in a row in their first year. This will be 9 in a row. Walker dragged down by Meads. He's short of the first down, and Houston will take over at the Dallas 39-yard line.
Dick, I think the hardest thing about losing is that you can't leave it on the field. Everywhere you go in town, doesn't matter whether it's the supermarket or the gas station, they say, hey, what's wrong with your team? Or they tell you what's wrong with your team. I know
even your wife. Your wife used to tell you.
Well, I tell you, get home and she said, boy, you had a terrible game, and walk away, which is not what you need. But what a hard year for this man. He stayed here in Dallas with a 3-year contract because he wanted to put this team back on track. He certainly brought them better personnel, but he did not want to go out with this kind of season behind him. And I'm sure Landry is not a quitter, but he's going to have to sit down and evaluate what his future is, as well as the Dallas Cowboys future.
But he signed a 3-year contract, so he said he's here to see this thing back to a positive before he retires. Executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Weissman. Coordinating producer of NBC's football coverage and the director of today's telecast is Ted Nathanson. Today's telecast was produced by Larry Cirillo. Our replay producer, David Neal. Coordinating producer of NFL Live, John J. Filippelli. NFL Live produced by Tom Roy and Ricky Diamond. NFL Live was directed by Bucky Gunts. Our technical directors, Marilyn Altman and Richard Sansevier. Cowboys trailing the Houston Oilers 25-17, and the Oilers just running out the final minute and 14 seconds, and will go home to Houston 9-4 and 3 wins away from being the host team in the second round of the playoffs. At wild card penalty, you got to play the extra game. And of course, Cincinnati has a lot to say about that. It'll be Cincinnati testing Buffalo's great record of only 1 loss this year this Sunday on NBC.
Of course, the next 2 weeks for these Oilers will be back in the confines, the happy confines of the House of Pain, and they have played extremely good football there all year long.
Rozier down to the 35-yard line, and Dallas, hoping for a miracle, calls their final timeout.
Well, I think the one thing I remember from the losing years, Dick, there are no miracles.
Boy, it does find you, doesn't it? That Lady Bad Luck just searches you out, and this rocks away and knits one defeat after another.
Funny how the memories come back. I remember standing in such pain as a rookie on the field. We're down 55-7, and I called a timeout as a rookie, and the veterans almost lynched me on the field. But it's so hard. The pain is so great when you're losing. When you have poured your heart and your soul into preparation for a game, I don't think people realize how devastating it is for a professional athlete, for a coach like Landry, to be a part of a losing situation like this. It just eats you up inside.
Nightly news will follow on NBC following the conclusion of our game, except in the Pacific and Mountain Time zones. And then, of course, all the regular programming with the star of the show, Bill Cosby, the big Thursday night lineup on NBC.
That might be a record, 4 handkerchiefs
Ball
at
start,
one time.
number 70 offense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
And beautifully thrown, symmetrically thrown, so they're equidistant, all 4.
Well, the second half of this game did see more penalty action than we would like to have seen. A couple of violent hits, one in particular that we mentioned, Sean Jones on Pullor, which nearly changed the outcome of this game. In a sense, if it had been thrown, if that forearm had been thrown a little earlier, Dallas would have continued with the football, and the 7 points would not have showed up on the side of the Houston Oilers.
The Cowbag fans make their presence known. 3rd down, Rozier tripped up. 1:04 left. And no timeouts remaining for Dallas. Well, for the Houston Oilers and their fans, they've had their share of the deep valleys. And with a playoff team last year, and it certainly would appear another one this season, Houston's hopes are as high as the lows here in the Big D.
And of course, Dallas continues to have their hopes for the Troy Aikman Derby. Not the kind of thinking. You talk to Dallas people, they're already talking and looking forward to the draft. And when you're still in November and talking about the draft, you know you're in trouble. All right, there's Troy Aikman. Well, I think Landry might agree with that.
Well, Steve Pallur won't. He still feels he should have a chance to be the quarterback. As Danny White, some Sweeney support here in this city as well.
Well, they need the stability of the kind of quarterbacking they got for so many years from Staubach.
Well, you know, they really went through their history. 29 years with 5 quarterbacks. Eddie LeBaron, Don Meredith, Roger Staubach, Randy White. There's Staubach. They've left out somebody in that process. Danny White and Craig Morton.
It's so important to have that man in charge who initiates the play, who can bring you back in the final part of the ball game. And as we said earlier in this broadcast, so many of Dallas's losses have come late in the game, in the crunch minutes of the game, when a critical mistake, when an opportunity is lost to score points, to put yourself over the top.
Well, they led 17-10 in the third quarter, and now 15 unanswered points by the Houston Oilers, who will win this one 25-17. Now the final play of the game. If indeed they're going to punt, we may have a Dallas final play. And it's going to roll. Look at this.
Well, it's been that kind of day, at least in this second half. It's been an Oiler bounce to the ball.
42 yards, no return for Greg Montgomery, who's had some tough kicking days this year, but a rather fine effort by him today. Here's how it went. Walker got the Cowboys off. Zendejas a field goal, then Rozier on that direct snap. Ruzick tied it at the half for Dallas. Then the third quarter, the Cowboys took it down the field with a kickoff, and Pallur around right end to score. That was the end of the Dallas celebrations. Zendejas 49 yards. And then Hill a touchdown. Zendejas missed the extra point to make it 19-17. Came back, did Zendejas with a 47-yard field goal. And then the capper for the Houston Oilers, the final touchdown. 25-19. Took that 25-17. The missed extra point really messes up your mathematics. That's Donaldson there to break up the desperation pass, and Thanksgiving Day in Dallas is over.